www.passacanonline.com.
This is Bio on Pass Icon Online. Welcome to Pass Icon Online class recording. Pass Icon Online class recording are audio bites from Icon classes to help your understanding of public sector finance and accounts. In today's class, we'll be reviewing the administrative and legal framework of public sector in Nigeria. The objective and the outcome of this class is to establish the administrative framework of public sector by first establishing the function of the public sector in Nigeria, establish a relationship between the public and the government, and establish who public servants are in Nigeria. We will also be establishing the legal framework in public sector of Nigeria by demonstrating the hierarchy of financial authorities from the Constitution, financial legislation, financial regulation, and finance and treasury circular. Enjoy the class. And for regular updates on our live classes, please visit www.passicononline.com or subscribe to our YouTube channel, Pass Icon Online, for more updates.
For more lecture, visit www.passacanonline.com.
Good morning, everybody. First things first, I got a mail from Chioma asking me to explain in class issues of rivalry. I went to look through their slides. You did. The question was, in one of the slides, which was basically trying to explain the types of goods. Okay, let's go back last week. Last week we discussed the issues of roles of government. We said one of the reasons why we need government is number one, to allocate resources, Abi. Number two, to do what? To redistribute income or resources or wealth. Third one is what? To regulate where?
Market.
To regulate the market and also to help in market failure, right? And the fourth one is what? To stabilize, please. And in allocation, we said that government gets part of the scarce resources and allocate it in providing public goods, Abi? And we said public goods are non-excludable, non-rivalrous. Now, Shoma sent me a mail that was asking that club goods cannot be non-rivalrous. So, she was more concerned about the fact that why should we have club goods? I think her major concern was the club goods that are not pure rivalrous goods. What does club good mean? Because in our case, in our interpretation, cinema cannot be rivalrous. I mean, it cannot be. What it means is that, for example, in this class will become rivalrous because this class has a limited number of seats. Do you agree? That means there is a level, the number of people that will come into this class, and this class will be considered filled. That will exclude any other person from able to come in. And in case of that, in issues of public, wherever things are non-rivalrous but they can be excludable, you exclude people by pricing. Do you understand? And that is why we say pay money. Exclusability means that we can exclude a person from using it. I mean, we saw I uploaded some videos. I uploaded this video especially on issues of roles of government on YouTube. Did anybody see it? You saw it? Okay, that is part of what I try to do to explain some of these things. There's a YouTube channel called Pass Icon Online. Two things I'm uploading there that may be beneficial to you. I try to upload some of the things that maybe highlight
of the class, make it to a video, and send it there. Secondly, I'll be sending there the sound bites, audio recording, so that you can listen to it. I'll also be uploading it in a what they call SoundCloud, so that you can download and listen to it. That's in case two things: you are in class, you want to remind yourself of what we did in class, or you miss class out of schedule. Sometimes exigencies, you may not be able to make it to class. Sometimes it's not your fault. Traffic. How many people are nursing mother here? Nursing mother. Okay, nursing father. And Lagos State is giving paternity leave now. I wish I was a Lagos State staff. They are encouraging people to multiply. So essentially, this is it. Non-excludable rigorous. Why is it non-excludable? You cannot exclude people from owning a land. However, the amount of land is limited. The amount of land Nigeria has, they already told us we have so number of square meter. Therefore, we can't go beyond that, and that is why it place value on it. They put pricing on it, because it is rigorous. Once one person take over a land, another person cannot also come and build on that land. Is that right? But private goods are excludable. You can exclude people from a private good, and once I get that private good, you cannot also use it. But the one that we are more concerned about in public sector, it is the public goods. How do we provide all these things to people in the community? The only challenge in public goods, in provision of public goods, is what we call the free riders, the theories of the free rider. For example, in this class, if we say we want to provide light, provide clean environment, tables and chairs, we will say, for example, everybody should contribute 1,000 naira. The assumption is that if all of us contribute 1,000 naira, provision of light and clean class will be easy. Am I right? Now, assuming we are 100 in this class, and by the plan is that there are 20 people that are incapacitated, probably they don't have work, they are jobless and all that, therefore they cannot provide, but 80 can pay 1,000. Now, out of the 80, only 10 pays, and the remaining 70 refuse to pay. Those 70 are what we consider free rider. One of the major objectives in public sector is to reduce. It's not that we cannot eliminate the numbers of free rider, but to reduce the number of free rider to the barest minimum, so that everybody is contributing something into the common pot, because it is what we contribute that we use to provide these public goods. Are we clear? So let's go to today's class, to paternity. Daniel. Okay. Normally I send out you give me your email address. I normally send out the slides, and I'm sure everybody has the slides from last week, yeah? For this week. Who does not have the slides? Did you give me a mail last week? If you didn't give me a mail, I can't send it to you now by. You printed it out. Okay, you're very. You don't need to print it out now. Use your phone. Don't waste paper. We are going green. We want to reduce the number of papers that we share. I want to also benefit from the technology. So, ladies and gentlemen, last week we were able to introduce ourselves to public sector. So, what I'm saying is that please, probably you be the governor of the new people. Tear a sheet of paper and let them circulate. And, madam, they cannot put your name and your address and be able to send it to you. But also, I said that nobody has registered through the Facebook page. Only one guy like that, one gentleman like that, registered through the Facebook. There's a Facebook page where you can just give me it's called Understanding PSF. On Facebook, just search for Understanding PSF. You can send me your email directly, and I can send the mail. But if not, do the analog one, write out. I will fill into the mailing list and send you the slide. Now, last week we were able to introduce ourselves to public sector, and I'm sure now most of you, you are enjoying while you are in this class, Abi. Public sector is a wonderful place, better than any other class you are going to be in, because this is the most important subject you are going to learn. This determines the fate of Nigeria, or wherever we live. And in public sector, we define what public sector was as a basis of trying to explain those nitty-gritty of issues of public sector. We discussed the issue of the economic system and the reasons why public sector form economic system to allocate the scarce resources that we have at every point. And we said those scarce resources are the factors of production. And we also now talked of the role of public sector, which is what we are speaking about now. And on Sunday, we went ahead to discuss an overview of the economy, Abi, and we reviewed things like the market, the GDP, the ease of doing business, everything that surrounds and affects the way the economy was in Nigeria. And I said the whole idea of that was to give you guys an overview, especially people that are not following what the economy was about. They are more following up. The people are following Premier League, Abi, more than the economy. What's happening between what's the Minister of Finance doing, which is what we should be more concerned about. So we did an overview of the economy, and now we are going forward. So we're giving ourselves a brief introduction of what public sector is all about and everything. Now let's look at the issues of the legal framework of constitution and everything that helps us to achieve this role in public sector. So today we'll be discussing the issue of financial authorities in public sector of Nigeria, because every public sector has its own financial authority. Now in private sector you have financial authorities, Abi. We'll be comparing them as we go. I'll be relating each of those things to what you have in private sector to help the understanding of people that are working in private sector. How many people are working in public sector here? Nobody. Now, like I say, every time I lecture this, by the time I end this class, I want to also spawn your interest in public sector. We need the best brains in public sector. Unfortunately, you guys are running away from public sector. This is where you can impact people's lives. When you're in private sector, you're only thinking of yourself. You are selfish. When you come to public sector, you are selfless. Come and join us. And secondly, like I said, and I know one of my students is going to become Minister of Finance very soon, if not even me. What's that? What's that to be ambitious? I said, I'm going to be the least I can be in this country. I want to be a Cartagena for the Federation. That's the least. And one day you look out for my name, or you're going to hear my name. Bayo Diagbi, a Cartagena for the Federation. Bah. If not, you hear me as a minister. So one of you will definitely become something finance one day. Do you understand? In public sector. And the whole idea is that I will be able to shape the way you think about public sector aside from passing. Passing is guaranteed. Passing in my class is normal, except you don't want to pass. Except you don't want to pass. You must resolve that you want to pass. One of the best words I've understood the meaning in English is resolution. Resolution actually has two words to it. It has two big words assigned to it. One, they are I will. I will. You will. The major thing concerning that is being focused and dedication. So if you resolve that you are going to pass, there is no force in the world that is going to come against you from passing. However, if you have a double mind, if you have a doubt, and you listen to those naysayers telling you ICANN is very hard, if you listen to them, you will fail. Don't ever listen to anybody that ICANN is hard. I tell you guys the truth. ICANN is the cheapest exam I have done in my life. So, resolve that you are going to pass. You will pass. Be dedicated to it. ICANN is a bit jealous. This period of your life, be focused on this matter. The reward is always certain. You will always pass. ICANN doesn't cheat. ICANN is like life. Doesn't cheat. You get out of it what you give into it. Enough preaching. Now, what are we going to be doing today? We're going to be looking at the relationship between the public and the government, which essentially I'll be revealing to you the issues around the administration, how the public relates with the with government or public sector. Then we quickly discuss who is a public servant. That is also something of debate. People say I'm a public servant. No, you are a civil servant. Me, I'm a public servant, and all that. Then we'll go into the issues of the financial authority, the constitution, financial legislation, and the financial regulations, and the treasury circular, or what we call the finance circular. But first, let's review what are the functions of government. We said, last week we were able to define what government or describe what government was about, abi? And we said we could look at government basically from 3 points of view. Who can remind me of those points of view? As a group, abi? How government is grouped, that we have 3 arms of government: executive, legislature, and the judiciary. How, second one, how the system is, and that is, no, that's economic system. That's the economic system. Unitary, federalism, confederalism. That depending on how power is shared among the center and the component states, that if a lot of powers are in the center to share the power, it's called federal kind of government. When the center controls all the power, unitary kind of government, and when the component controls all the power, it's called confederation. And I also tried to explain, I gave some shades of the countries that are doing federalism in the world and the countries that are doing unitary kind of system in the world. For example, UK is a unitary system, and that is why it's called United Kingdom. All the other kingdoms in the United, all the Ireland, Wales, and all that, they take all the laws from London, and they must come to London to become this. So I would say the third one is how many people are ruling, abi? We have democracy, we have anarchy, we have oligarchy. What else do we have? Monarchy, excellent. So I would say that is the. But now, what are the functions of this government? Number one is foreign diplomacy. Foreign diplomacy. The whole idea is that government is true government that will deal with another government, abi? Because every country has its own government, and there's always a need to have somebody representing us in a discussion. Another one is the military defense. That one of the major things that government should do for its people is to defend them in case of external aggression. Third one is maintaining domestic law. This one is reserved for the military. This one is reserved for the police, because the police are actually civilians are supposed to help us organize our domestic affairs. The third one is administration of justice, because when we come together, there will definitely be crisis, abi? There will definitely be misunderstanding. We need a system how we resolve these misunderstandings, and this misunderstanding are usually resolved around the administration of justice. The fifth one is protection of civil liberty. Everybody has some rights that you should not trample upon. It is government that protects my right to ensure that you don't take my right for granted. It provides the public goods, just like what we have explained. It promotes economic growth and development, operation of social insurance program to prevent future poverty, and social welfare program to alleviate poverty. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the difference between social insurance and social welfare. One is preventing future poverty. Can somebody give us one of the social insurance programs we have in Nigeria? Who agrees Shopee is a social insurance? Shopee is a social insurance because by giving you money right now so that you don't end up in poverty in future. But the one that when you talk of giving everybody 5,000 naira, that one that we were talking about, that we that were employed, unemployed, are going to give us 5,000 naira. That is social welfare, because it is assumed that you are in poverty now. We want to elevate your poverty. So that's the difference. So when you are being made better for future, it is social insurance. But when you are there now and there's no way but to help you, it is social welfare. Like the feeding program for the kids in primary school, it is social welfare. Now, what is the relation between government and the people? This is trying to just illustrate how the relationship is. Now, obviously, businesses and citizens relate to government through the public servants. Every time you deal with a policeman, Abi, you are dealing with government, Abi, and that's why the policeman will say, "Don't touch my uniform." That you are talking to government, Abi, or last month you catch you. Those days of last month, they say it's Fashola that you are fighting. You fight a last month guy, you are fighting Fashola and all that. So to show you that both the citizens and business, because business too are also in the eyes of the law, they are entities living in a country. Do you understand? Any business established, I mean, in your law, they told you guys there's what do you call that thing? What do you call separation of it? Legal entity. And there's one between the owners and the business. That is if it's a limited liability company. But if it's a sole trader, we don't regard the business entity as being separate from the owner based on taxation and all that. So businesses too are components of the environment. Therefore, when you deal with government, you deal with government through the public service and the public servant. For example, to provide the defense, you meet army guys, Abi, that is government working for you. To do domestic, you see the last month, that is government working for you. When your roads are being done, there's a ministry of land, I mean ministry of works that comes to do the roads. That is government working for you. And so that is where the public servant is. Now usually there is a lot of this is my own opinion, because some people have argued with me even in class that no. In fact, I remember 3 days ago here, I had a student that was working with a politician, and he said no, he's not a public servant. He's a, give me a word that day.
Civil servant.
No, civil servant is we know ourselves. I'm a civil servant. He gave me one word, I forgot the word, and we all laughed about it. That it's not a. And I said to him, as far as you are guided by the public service rule, do you understand? You are a public servant. You can call yourself public officer. You can call yourself whatever, because people don't like using the word civil servant. In the real sense of it, you are a civil servant. Because what the civil servant is a short form of a civilian servant. Do you understand? We come together when you are doing your town hall meetings. There are people that come together to help us administer the town hall. They are not our leaders, Abi. They are our servants. And that's why some people are not political at all in this class. You are non-political at all. You have to be. Yeah, they said man is a political animal. Except in Nigeria. We have to follow this politics, because politics affects every other thing, our economy and everything. So meaning that the word civil service is the service to civilians. Service to civilians. Or the civil, the issues concerning civility, how everything for us to live well is managed. It's now, but some people use the word public servant, but issue is that we have a public service rule. The public service rule is what guides everybody that is civil service, and the public service is very clear about what to do as a civil servant or a public servant and what not to do. Now, ladies and gentlemen, whenever we have people coming together, we have elected them or they are in our service, we can't allow them to do things based on their thinking or how they feel or how they imagine. I mean, we must also develop some rules of engagement, that this is what you can do and this is what you cannot do. Now, while there's a lot of rules in public service in this class, because we are doing public sector, finance and account, We'll be looking at the ones that affect finance and account, basically. And that is what we call the financial authorities in public sector. The financial authorities are all the legal instruments which empowers and guide public officers in carrying government transactions, financial transactions. Because as they go ahead, a government official can do whatever he wishes. Like I said, there is a lot of rule that guides every other thing, but the ones that relate to finances is what we are going to be concerned ourselves about in this class. So, and that is the financial authority. And there's an hierarchy to it, and that hierarchy affects every other thing we do in Nigeria. The beginning of that is the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria. Constitution of Federal Republic of, it is superior, it is supreme, it is whatever word can I use. It is super to every other rules and regulation in Nigeria. In fact, every other rules and regulation derive their power from the Constitution. If you set a rule and the rule is not consistent with the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria, the rule becomes non-standing, because you cannot override the Constitution of Nigeria by any rules or regulation, because the Constitution is what brings us together. Now, from the Constitution we have what we call the financial legislation, and from the financial legislation we have what we call the financial regulation, and from the financial regulation we have the Treasury Circular, or what we call the Finance Circular. So we'll be talking about all of them one after the other to give you an understanding. The Constitution of Federal Republic. How many of you have seen our Constitution before? The remaining are not Nigerians. Are you Nigerian? Have you read it? Okay, you know the wordings. I love the beginning of that. The wording says that we, the people of Nigeria, be. So as far as you are carrying a Nigerian passport, that passport is a lovely passport. It's a green passport. Some truths need to be told. Some of our brothers outside are not doing well to us at all. They are not doing well, and that's why we have some of these issues. Okay, so let's start with this Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, our Constitution is the body of fundamental principles, established precedents, according to which we are governed. And in Nigeria, whatever the flaws it may have, what we are being governed with right now is called the 1999 Constitution, which is what are the things that we are using. And in that Constitution, it gives some fundamental objective of our Constitution, the fundamental right of every citizen, and government financial businesses. What is the constitutional economic objective? And this one, I need to read it to you guys. This is what we are set out economically. There are, like I said, in the Constitution also, there are a lot of other parts in the Constitution that is not of our interest. I mean, what is of our interest is the one that relates to economy, finance, and accounting. The state shall, within the context of ideal and objective for which provisions are made in the Constitution, A, harness the resources of the nation and promote the national prosperity and an efficient, a dynamic, and a self-reliant economy. B, control the national economy in such a manner as to secure maximum welfare, freedom, and happiness of every citizen on the basis of social justice and equality of status and opportunity. C, without prejudice to the right to operate or participate in area of economy other than the major sector of the economy, manage and operate the major
www.passacanonline.com.
without prejudice to the right of any person to participate in areas of the economy within the major sector of the economy, protect the right of every citizen to engage in any economic activity outside the major sector of the economy. Now let me explain each paragraph. Number one is saying that the government will harness all our resources in this Nigeria to ensure that there is prosperity. That is number one rule. that our objective for this constitution. The number 2 is that the economy will control in such a manner as all of us will be happy, and I'm sure we're all happy now. Who is unhappy? See, everybody's happy. And the thing will ensure social justice, equality of status, and opportunity. Equality of status is fundamentally saying that we will ensure distribution of wealth so that the poor becomes rich, to ensure that the poor become richer or better. And there will be opportunities for all, and that is why we are emphasizing that there should be quota system, so that people that are from less disadvantaged places can benefit from whatever we are doing. Now, the C part is saying that government itself can be engaged in any sector of the economy. The whole essence is to give government the power to break monopoly. Do you understand? If government sees that there's a monopoly being developed in a particular sector, government has a right to get into that sector, because there's no part of the sector of the economy that government is not allowed to participate in. And the D aspect is saying anybody can do any business as far as it is legal in Nigeria. You can go into any sector. You cannot be excluded from any sector for the reasons of probably your tribe, your economic objective. Now, based on this objective that we have stated, the state will form policies. Policies are like something that guides our plan, You understand the hierarchy? There is objective, there is policy. From the policies, you form a plan. And from the plan, you set out steps. The state shall direct its policies towards ensuring that A, the promotion of a planned and balanced economic development. 2, that the material resources of the nation are harnessed and distributed as best as possible to serve common good. That the economic system is not operated in such a manner as to permit concentration of wealth or means of production and exchange in the hands of the few or of a group. And that suitable, adequate shelter, suitable and adequate food, reasonable national minimum living wage, old age care and pension, and unemployment, sick benefits, and welfare of the disabled are provided for all citizens. So, essentially, it means that the government will have a policy that ensures there's a balanced economy. And part of those policies, for example, is our budget. The budget is such that we make sure that wherever there are loopholes in the economy, we try to fill it up. For example, one of the major loopholes in our economy is infrastructure. And this budget is trying to fill in that gap by saying that we're going to spend so much money to do roads, to do all the connecting roads, to do the railways around Nigeria. And like I mentioned last week, they said there's a railway from Abuja to Kaduna now. That's 800 naira, just 1 hour to get to Kaduna. And I'm saying, that's a good thing. Imagine we have another railway from Abuja to Lagos. But Lagos is even far. If we have Abuja to Akure first, then they do that again from Akure to Lagos. We have one from Lagos to Asaba, from Onitsha to Uyo, like that. We have another one from Uyo to Yola. People are working around Nigeria before. The way I'm talking, people are looking as if, what am I drawing? Drive around Nigeria is a very beautiful country. One of the most beautiful places I've been in Nigeria is Adeja. Adeja is kind of the waterland in the north. I don't know when I've been there before. They have big, you've been to Adeja before. See how beautiful, very cool. They have big fishes. Nice place. They have big fishes, and their fish is even sweeter than Nigeria. Do you know? Seriously, do you know Lake Chad fishes are sweeter than the fish in the south? I don't know why they are. Those fishes in Maiduguri, if you've been to Chad, if you see those dry fish that we buy here, have you seen where they do them before? They don't use fire, they use sun. When you see those women doing this, in their face as so Nigeria is a beautiful town. All these people want to spoil our country. So now there are sections in the Constitution that we need to know about. Now, one of those sections is the section that relates to the power and the control over public funds. How do they use public funds in public sector? Now, the Constitution also is very, very detailed, such that the Constitution provides for what the federal government will do in some sections, and it can provide for what the state will do in some sections, usually just changing the name federal to state. Therefore, when you read section 80 is verbatim of section 120. The only difference is that section 80 is talking of federal and section 120 is talking of states. What are those issues? One is that there's what we call a consolidated revenue fund. We'll be talking of consolidated revenue fund when we're talking of the public finance in this class. But essentially, consolidated revenue fund says that all the money government is making should go into a pool from where government can now spend. You must bring all the money to CRF. You can't spend before it comes into CRF, because money that should leave CRF should basically be based on budget. If it's not budgeted for, it cannot be spent. Federation, we say that you must bring all the money to consolidated revenue fund, and that's one of the reasons why we did TSA. Abi, the whole essence of TSA was that majorly everybody was spending their money as they were getting it. Do you understand? And we tried to do TSA so that everybody's money will first come into the federation account before we can now do appropriation. Then from there, the power also now gives the authorization. How do we spend money from the CRF? The money that is brought into it, how do we now spend money from it? You can see the law. The law gives how money should be brought in, also how money should be spent. So anything done outside that is illegal. Authorization of fund in case of no appropriation. Sometimes there may be no appropriation. I mean, we always got there. If not, the law even allows that if there's no appropriation, what do we do? But the law only says that if there's no appropriation for 6 months, we can be spending at the level of last year's expenditure. Before it was 3 months, we expanded it to 6 months. And the law also gives us the right to establish what we call a contingency fund. Now, when we get to the accounting class, I will explain to you what a fund is. But note that a fund is basically what you call capital in the private sector. Do you understand? In the private sector, you have asset plus, is it plus? Liability? I mean, asset minus liability equals capital. In public sector, we have asset minus liability equals fund. But when we get to the accounting class, we'll explain that. So the Constitution also allows us to establish what we call a contingency fund. The Constitution also clearly states what the remuneration of the president and other public officers will be like. The whole idea is that they are the highest ranking persons, and therefore once we can set their remuneration, they will use their remuneration to judge other people's remuneration to set. The Constitution also gives the power that we must audit our accounts annually. Though we have a backlog of audited accounts in Nigeria. The Constitution also gives the power to issues of appointment of Auditor General, the tenure of Auditor General, and the issue concerning the power for Auditor General to conduct investigation. Now, when it comes to public revenue, federal. Now, the Constitution also established what we call a federation account, which is essentially where all the money for federal government is paid. All the money for federal government is paid. And the issues of allocation and derivation also comes from the Constitution, section 163, that this is how we're going to allocate revenue, and this is where we're going to talk of derivations law. And 164 talks of how we can give grants in case of giving grants to the state. Sharing of cost of collection of certain taxes and duties. Now, some of the taxes, for example, VAT is being collected only by federal government on behalf of the federation. Do you understand? The law is that since we are collecting on behalf of everybody, we should also be able to get some sort of setup, I mean, in terms of setup of any amount that we use to administer the collection. So there's something we're going to be talking about when we're talking of funding, public sector funding. 4%. Federal Inland Revenue Service collect 4% of taxes collected as basis of running its own administration. The sum charge, what can be charged into CRM, and the condition of payment and certification of Auditor General. Now, let's now also talk of some executive bodies. These bodies are established by the Constitution. It is not by an act that established them, it's the Constitution that established them. One of them is the Federal and the State Civil Service. Federal and the State Civil Service. The Federal Service is an establishment of the Constitution. Another one is the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission and the National Economic Council. We'll be talking about these bodies as we go, but just note that these are executive bodies. An executive body is established by the Constitution. And the one I want to majorly talk about right now is the National Economic Council. Now, the National Economic Council basically represents the policy body making for the economic decisions of the country. It is usually headed by the Vice President. So, by default, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is the head of the economy of Nigeria, while the President is like the political head of the country. The membership of this thing is basically the Vice President. The governor of each state is a member, and the governor of CBN. Now, why do we have the governor of each state? Because we are running a federation, abi? That means every state has the right to its own federal fiscal policy. What we do in Lagos State is not what they do in Sokoto. What is their priority in Sokoto is not what their priority in Lagos, abi? Look at Lagos State has gone to do land swap, abi, what do you call that thing, with Nasarawa State. Because Nasarawa has land, they don't have money. Do you understand? So Lagos State has gone there to acquire villages so that they can be doing farm there and be able to feed. So Nasarawa has collected money, abi, and Nasarawa too will benefit from the fact that Lagos State is going to employ the people, the citizens to be doing the farm. So you can see that the focus of Nasarawa is not the focus of Lagos. While Nasarawa will be talking of even trying to build school, Lagos is taxing school. Lagos doesn't want, we don't want no more school in Lagos. Too much of school. If you want to build school, go to Ajangbadi. All those schools in Lagos Island is enough. Do you understand? But if you want to do school in Sokoto, they will encourage you because there are no schools. You can see that this is different. I will give an example last week that the focus of Yaba local government, this is Yaba local government, I mean, Surulere will be different from Ekpe. Do you understand? They can't be talking of water here, I mean. They can't be talking of giving boat loan in Surulere local government. If any local government chairman in Surulere says he wants to give boat loan, you know he's a thief. But if you go to Ekpe, boat loan is normal. I think the local chairman of Surulere will talking of tricycle loan, I mean, that will be more like it. So the focus is different, and that's why we have. But one thing that all of us have in common is what we call the monetary policy. The monetary policy is basically determined by the CBN. That's why we have only one CBN in Nigeria. We don't have any state CBN because the totality of Nigeria, the issue of monetary policy is one. And what do? They basically give advice to the president on issue of economic matter. Now, I showed you that President on June 29th actually inaugurated the. Now, this is also what one of the things the Constitution has done is also broke down powers. What the responsibility of each levels of government is supposed to do. What each levels of government is supposed to do. And it says, and this is what we say, power change. Now, you can see that we have federal, state, and local government. What the federal government has what the federal government has that is only federal government that is doing it, it is called an exclusive list. In the constitution, this is what we call exclusive list, meaning that it's only federal government that is allowed to do it. Now, the local government who has its own exclusive list, the things that only local government is supposed to do. Now, note that the state really don't have anything they can do on their own. They have to work with federal government and work with state government. And that was why I said federal government is supposed to do issues like defense, shipping, federal roads. You know, we have 3 trunks of road, federal, state, and local government road. Federal roads are roads that traverse any 2 states. State roads are roads that traverse any 2 local governments. Local roads are the roads within each local government. Issues of aviation. Federal government is in charge of giving laws concerning aviation. That's why we don't have any state authority for any airport. Issues of law. A state can establish its airport, but there's nothing like state fund, federal airport authority for any state. It is also the federal government that comes to administer that airport. Telecommunication. Post office was federal government matter, although we have killed it, have we? Post office is still functioning, you know. Telecommunication, police and other security, mines and mineral, social security, social insurance, national park and national statistics. These are the things that the federal government should be in charge. And the local government is supposed to be in charge of cemeteries and burial ground, home for destitute and infirm, market, sewage and refuse disposal, street lighting and street cleaning and street lighting and drainage. That's the issue for local government. Now, these are concurrent lists between state and federal government. Antiquities and monuments. The state can have its own, federal government can have its own. Electricity, state can have, and that's why some of the states are trying to provide electricity for their state, but they must take federal government regulations. Industrial and commercial, that's why they can set up industrial estates. For example, in Lagos, we have health issues and social welfare. You can see that the social security is in the hands of federal. The social welfare is in the hands of states in conjunction with federal. What is this? What is insurance? Social insurance. Prevent future poverty. And welfare is alleviating poverty. The whole idea is that the state, through the local government, are the nearest to the people. They know the person that needs poverty to be alleviated.
www.passacanonline.com.
Issue concerning primary, adult and vocational education, health services, development of agriculture, and non-mineral resources are the things that the state and local government are to do concurrently together to be able to deliver it. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking about the Constitution, and we reviewed the economic objective of the Constitution. We reviewed the policy direction of the Constitution. We reviewed what? The section of the Constitution that relates to accounting and finance. And we have also looked at the function of federal, state, and local government in the Constitution. So let's look at what we call the financial legislation. Now, financial legislation are laws of federation that are enacted by National Assembly on specific financial matter. For example, while we want to have a policy that relates to economic crime, do you understand? It's a policy direction, Abi. We need to have a legislation squarely for economic crime. That is the EFCC Act, Abi, which is a financial legislation. It is specific for that specific area. And so I gave, for example, we have the Finance Control and Management Act, which is a specific financial legislation on financial issues related to how government money is collected and spent, how Accountant General should report to Auditor General and all that. And we have the Audit Act of 1956, which is being changed. Appropriation Act is also one of the financial legislations that we have, because for us to spend money every year, we must do a law that says this is what we are going to get this year, and this is what we're going to spend in this year. And we have what we call supplementary appropriation in case our appropriation does not meet what we plan or something that we didn't plan came up. We are allowed to push in what we call a supplementary appropriation in any year. We have the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Act. Most of you are aware of that Financial Reporting Council Act that says that for you to give any advice as an accountant or anybody that people can rely on this thing, you should get a certification and a registration for financial reporting to be able to do that. Then we have the debt management. I'm just giving examples of financial reporting, financial legislations that we've been able to do specific area. For example, the debt management office is supposed to guide issues of debt matter. Be proud to debt management. I'm going to be studying debt management office later. Debt bureau. Before that time, we had everybody taking debt out, whichever way they wanted, and we had to do that. And there's money laundering, there is allocation of revenue. This is the one of dichotomy. And we have the SEC, the Financial Responsibility Commission. These are all the things we're going to be studying in this class. Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority. Who has heard of Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority before? When it comes to economic matter, let's not be political at all. So, and based on that, we have what we call the financial regulation. You can see we are going down. We have the legislation, then we have the regulation. Now, everybody in public service do things day to day. Financial regulation is the one that helps us day to day to determine what should happen and what not should happen. How do we spend money and how do we not spend money? It goes around one of the things ICANN does to you. By the time you finish, you become bolden that there's nothing unsurmountable in life. So in public sector, we have what we call the financial regulation that states what we should do in some circumstances. So we have financial regulation, like I said, and those are the things. Every issue is in financial regulation. How the audit works, how the accounts work, what are the responsibilities of accountant general, the responsibility of auditor general. Everything is spelled out in the financial regulations. Now we have the Treasury Circular. The Treasury Circular essentially help us, instead of we have a financial regulation, but sometimes situation changes and we want to change probably one part of the financial regulation or call some people to order or ask for some report. We don't need to change the entire booklet. What we issue is what we call the Treasury Circular. The Treasury Circular is just like a newsletter that federal government through the Accountant General or the Minister of Finance, when it comes to financial matter, issues to various agencies, ministry and department to tell them we want you to do X, Y, Z pertaining to this matter or that matter. And usually it always has its basis from the financial regulation. So for example, if in financial regulation says that the federal the minister can take only 60,000 as his DTA. If we want to change that, instead of changing financial regulation, we just send out a Treasury Circular that says now the minister can take 100,000 as his DTA. Do you understand? That's essentially what the financial regulation does and the financial circular does. For example, this was a financial circular that was issued immediately the president took over from Office of Accountant General, essentially asking all the ministries and departments to send forward their balances in their the bank balance as at that date, so that we can compile the list of balances in the financial statement. So that during the handover, they can tell the president, this is how much we have. We needed to do that yesterday. Now, ladies and gentlemen, just for last week, I gave an assignment. Nobody attempted it. Yes, of November. You tried it. Who can read the question?
Explain the term market failure and public good. What conclusions can you draw from the ongoing statement in the context of the developing dictionary?
And I said I wish that you guys should be trying your hands some of this thing, because these are the things that develops you towards the exam. It builds your confidence. And I said I will not be marking, so to say. I'll be giving feedback. The whole idea is that I'll be giving feedback based on probably the way you constructed your answer, the way I feel you should go through the question. Probably didn't approach it as professional as, probably some of you still approach questions from academic point of view. A lot of people start the question by wanting to define and be writing all those long things. So I try to now explain to you, no, I think you should go this way, I think you should go this way. The whole idea is to help you as you're practicing and you are practicing. Repetition helps you. You understand? And also boosts your confidence. So please, if that one has gone, don't attempt it again. Since I've told you, I'll give you another one this week. Explain the difference between the Constitution, financial legislation, and financial regulations in the context of financial authority in public sector. And I hope most of you will attempt it. But while we are that, can we try to attempt the one from last week? Just as a way of class here. Somebody can help us. Can you read the question again, madam?
Explain the terms market value and profit.
Market value, okay. I mean market failure.
Market failure.
Yeah.
Market failure and profit.
Okay, first stop from there. Who can explain market failure for us? Anybody can explain market failure? Yeah, now. Yeah, you are going now. She has started. Can somebody join and help her? Did he hear? Okay. Can you use your normal voice?
Normal voice.
No, use the bedroom voice. Use the normal voice.
I said a market failure can be like a monopoly. Like in a market system where normally in a market the forces of demand and supply are supposed to determine the prices of goods and services. Maybe if that does not work, maybe that's a market failure.
Maybe. Can somebody help her to be sure? Excellent. Simple. Market failure, like she rightly puts, and to help to also add to what Oga has said, a market essentially is an environment where the forces of demand and supply usually comes in to determine the prices of goods. Not only determine the prices of goods, it determines allocation of factors of production. Do we agree? Now, sometimes the market with its forces may not efficiently determine the allocation of factors of production or prices. Therefore, we can say the market has failed. A market fails in one of these instances. For example, where one person is a monopoly. That means there is nothing like
www.passacatonline.com.
Price only being determined by the supplier. Two, if we allow only the market forces to determine factors of production and where they were, and people's profit motive only to determine what they are doing, there will be negative externalities. That means people will only pursue profit to the detriment of whoever. Do you understand? They will do environmental pollution as far as they make profit. Thirdly, market will also fail when everybody in the market does not have equal information. That is what we call asymmetry of information. When information is not available to all of us, market will also fail. Fourthly, market will fail where there is inequality in the market, where the weak is there with the strong. It's there's no way you say this weak will fight the strong, abi? Market will also fail in those instances. Therefore, government steps in to ensure these areas of market failure it is helped. Now the second part of that, just we are trying to put a context to the question, abi? The second part says that you should also, what is a public good? And we started this question by explaining what public good are. Non-excludable, what they call it, public goods are those goods that are non-excludable and non-rivalrous, meaning that you cannot exclude anybody from there, and somebody using it cannot also exclude or deprive another person from using it at the same time. And we'll give an example. Road. Abi? Using the road does not deprive the next person from using it, abi? Or using the air, using all those things cannot deprive another person from using it. But there are some goods that we can exclude people from it. Then the other part of the question, huh? You know, said in the context.
Yes, what conclusions can you draw from the foregoing concept, from the foregoing statement in the context of a developing nation like Nigeria?
Okay, excellent. So now, the two critical matter to this question, I will be able to comprehend and understand it a bit. The issue of market failure and the issue of the public goods. What can you bring out from this in the context of a developing economy like Nigeria? Can somebody help us? What are the issues in a developing economy? What are the issues in developing economies, please? Huh? What are the features of a developing economy?
No buying power.
No buying power, excellent. Another one, not one. You are in Nigeria. What are the features of your economy? Don't think outside the box now. Inside this box called Nigeria. Excellent. Inadequate infrastructure. That's part of infrastructure. Inflation, yes, because it still falls back to the issue of buying power. What else? Low quality of living. Abi? Standard of living is low. Per capita income is low in a developing economy. Now, but let's start from what he mentioned, because what he mentioned is even the key to this question. What did you say again? Low buying power. Now, in the context of public goods and market failure, it means that if we allow only market forces to determine what will happen in a developed economy like Nigeria, do you understand? It means that, and you agree also that in developing economy we have low buying power. The power to buy is low, and is also restricted to very few. Do you understand? Prices will go up, and that's why government needs to provide a lot of public goods in Nigeria. Does that make some sense? So, I mean, if you're an examiner, if you have written that, all the things we have said now, first paragraph, you try to explain what market forces and market failure is. The second paragraph, you try to explain what public goods are. The third paragraph, you try to explain what the feature of a developing economy are. You now bring the three together into the last paragraph to now tell them, the examiner, that you are sharp. You are not just talking. Do you understand? The reason why I mentioned this, the reason why I explained this, and when I explain this, is to bring them together into one solution, to tell you that if we allow only the market forces to set the prices, people, because of low, I'm only using one, do you understand? You can use many, you can also use the features and just do it in point, then go down to do conclusion. In conclusion.
You're saying something about market forces should not be allowed
to determine, help me.
the market price.
It doesn't result in what?
It doesn't result in inflation.
Not just resulting in inflation. Related to what he said. What did you say again? Low buying power. So if you allow market forces, do you agree, madam, do you agree that in developing economy there is low buying power? Right? So if you allow market forces to determine, people prices can go higher than people's ability to pay. Do you understand? That means that you are going to establish an inequality in the market. Are you getting it? Therefore, government steps in to provide the necessities of life, e.g., public goods, which are not given based on powers or ability to buy, because government is not in the business of making profit. Government is in the business of welfare to its people. It's also important that you understand, please, just like what I've said now, start forming. I have an idea of how I answer any question, especially if it's a written question in exam. And like I said, I always form this. If it's a 10 marks question, 5 marks question, I have this 3-paragraph way of answering it. You are a professional. You are a professional. You are no more in foundation. Do you understand? And I keep giving this rule of thumb that if you are answering questions in an exam, regard that you are writing memo to your boss that is asking you a question. Do you understand what I'm saying? When you are writing a memo, you introduce the matter, and you state the body of the matter, and you also conclude by telling him what you have arrived at, deduced. If you just write baga, we may give you mark for attempting, but it's more professional when you state, and sometimes introducing it is very easy. Just sometimes repeating the context of the question already gives you an introduction. Then you now go ahead and take all those matters you want to discuss, go and discuss them, and conclude and say, in fact, I have one thing I learned of how to conclude. Above, I have said. That is the conclusion. In case you are lost, sometimes you get into the exam or haven't stated everything, your brain just goes blank. Go back to whatever you have stated before and try to just, in a short form, try to repeat that. Above, in conclusion, I have explained market failure, I have explained public goods, I've also been able to relate it to low buying power, to explain the developing, how it affects developing economy in Nigeria. Full stop, move on. Do you understand? That's it. In case, don't waste time on question. No, we'll be talking about those as we are going along. That, for example, please, time management is also very key. ICANN exam. ICANN has a way of doing exam. I mentioned that there is something about question verbs, about the kind of questions the verb will say, for you to know what the way to attack the question and how you can really determine if you're able to answer the question. And like I said, you can go to one of the YouTube videos I have on YouTube is concerning those question verbs. The issues relating to the officers in public sector, the key officers in public sector. We have introduced public sector in the first class. Today we have discussed concerning the financial and administrative environment of public sector. Tomorrow we'll be looking at those key people that determine what happens in public sector. We'll be discussing their roles, their responsibility, and their functions in public sector. Please note, you have a study pack. Study pack has also gone out to a for that.
www.passacatonline.com